Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Healing with Horses, the #1 podcast for equine guided therapy. I'm one of the hosts, Jacci Jones, and I'm a psychotherapist trained in transactional analysis.
And I'm Julie Lewis, the equine facilitator, and together we're going to guide you through the world of equine guided therapy. Don't forget to click subscribe to be notified of our latest podcast episodes. And if you get any value from this podcast, please support us by leaving a review. It really will help us out and motivate us to keep making these podcasts.
You can connect with us on social media at Equine Guided Therapy and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get regular videos all around equine guided therapy and mental health. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the next episode, which is episode 6 of what is it? I've forgotten what it is. Healing with Horses with Julie Lewis.
We're having so much fun this time.
Literally, I have no idea what we're doing. From Equine Guided Therapy, and the title of this episode is Building Trust, How Horses Can Help Us, which I think is a really important thing because we don't do a lot of trusting as human beings. I think we're very skeptical a lot of the time.
I think life, as you get older, teaches you to be a little bit skeptical, a little bit cynical.
Yeah.
Maybe, because things happen that you weren't expecting, and if those things aren't always good, then the next time you hit that scenario again, then your kind of memory kicks in, and you think, I'll just step back a bit first and see what happens to everybody else. And of course, with horses, it's very different. They do have memory, but it's got to be fairly bad for them to remember it in a way that they would react like that. They react straight away.
Yeah.
And in a much quicker way than humans would react.
I think that's a really good point, that, a lot of the time we reflect on past experience to kind of guide us as to what we want to do now. It's like, I didn't fly for over 30 years because I had a bad experience on an aeroplane. There was actually nothing to do with flying. It was something to do with being emotional and leaving who I thought was the love of my life in a foreign country. But I didn't fly for over 30 years because
I had a bad experience flying with you after 30 years.
We've shared lots of things, Julie. But that association of an experience we hang on to as part of our survival mechanism as human beings, whereas horses are very much in the moment and authentic and present.
Yeah. I mean, it's living in the moment, isn't it? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Their go-to is defense. For defense, rather, would be flight and get away and things like that. And anybody who's had horses, been around horses, they might say, oh yeah, but my horse remembers there's a so-and-so in the corner there and he always spooks at that, or this, that and the other. Do you know, it might not be so much that he remembers, it might be that you're remembering. But also, if they've had a really traumatic experience, then yes, they will remember, and they'll have used that as a flight. They'll have used their flight response maybe in that situation. But generally, 99% of the time, it's literally what's happening there and then. And it's much quicker than humans. So if they had a horrible experience at that particular dustbin, as you're approaching it, if you're completely different with it, and the way you're approaching it with that horse, if it's a ridden horse, that horse might for a split second think, what? But the person on top isn't going, last time we were here, he bolted with me.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that.
Then they react and feed back from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much quicker than a lot of humans are able to think about. And that's why sometimes you'll find with horses that get sent away, problem horses, I hate the word, but horses that have issues, then sometimes it becomes an issue more with the rider and the horse as a unit rather than the rider or the horse. And that's why, again, we've talked about it before, some horses are absolute saints until they hit one rider or get to one rider. And some riders will send their horses for schooling or for training and think, he's a saint, he's an absolute belter for me, he's great. And the trainer might hit some of those problems and handle it in a different way, but vice versa, it works both ways.
Yeah.
So I've had situations when I've had horses that people have said they'll do A, B, and C, and I can't understand why they've sent them to me because they're absolutely fine. And it's just
we don't
live in that moment.
Yeah, with humans and the people that I work with, one of the things I talk an awful lot about is that our thoughts create our feelings 100% of the time, and then we act on that through our behaviour. And exactly 100% agree with what you're saying, because Jack, my daughter's little pony, he hated red telephone boxes. So every time he walked past one, he would jump sideways. But I'm sure he was picking up my anxiety, even through the lead rope. because they are so sensitive to changes in us and what we're doing, he was probably thinking, oh my God, she's scared. I need to be scared as well. And
Exactly,
that
because
was
they
what
don't
was
see colours
causing.
in the way we see colours.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
red letterbox thing, the red telephone box was your anxiety almost certainly, because
Yeah.
when I knew Jack, you know, I don't think we'd ever come across a red telephone box because he was in the middle of the country somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it is, you know, but like I said, one of the things that I talk a lot about with human beings is that our thoughts create our feelings. So if we're feeling unsafe as a human being, it's because we're having unsafe thoughts.
So going back to the trust thing,
Yeah.
a lot of humans, adults, say, will be fearful of horses because they're big, and we've talked about this before. They're
Yeah.
big and
Yeah.
they've got teeth and hooves, and they're very, very powerful in comparison to us. Many people, when they come across a horse for the first time, will already have imprinted into them, don't go
The
to the
kick
back
and the
because it
bite.
kicks. Watch out because it'll bite you.
Yeah.
If you catch a child early enough and they have none of that, it happens on my yard a lot. Well, I've got little visitors now and again that come along because mummy or daddy want them to see the ponies or the horses, and you will see a completely different thing. These children
Yeah.
aren't frightened at all. They go waltzing up to them, what's that big hairy thing? And the horses react in a completely different way.
Yeah.
So some of the horses that are maybe a bit sharper or a bit more fidgety around adults are big gentle giants, and daft as a brush, very much more considered about where they're moving in their stables and things like that if there's a little person around them. So I'm not saying it's a particularly safe environment for children. By all means, you know, keep an eye on your children if they're around horses. But again, it's the trust thing, because those children are exhibiting trust because they're little. They don't know to be frightened of it because they haven't been told to be frightened of it.
Absolutely.
They haven't been
Yeah.
taught to be frightened of it. So they innately then go straight to the horse and go hi, or whatever they're going to do, pat it because mummy's comfortable around her horse, so they're going to go
Yeah.
straight to it. And I see this time and time again on my yard, because one of my liveries has a little girl who has been on the yard every day since she was born. And this particular livery, her horse isn't the nicest horse around adults, and will turn her bum on you and tell you where to go in every way that she knows possible.
Yeah.
But when the little child is there, the child can walk under its tummy, between its legs, all the rest of it. Like, again, it's not something to be poo-pooed by any means, but this horse is a completely different horse around this child and
Yeah.
around other children. And again, I've taken my grandchildren up there, and they're the same. They're the same with it. I mean,
Yeah.
we often joke at the moment because we say, oh, they just think this particular child's a walking carrot, because she'll often toddle. She's learned now that she can go and give them a carrot. So the
Nice.
first place she goes is to go and get a carrot and give all the horses a carrot.
Yeah.
So they see this child as a walking carrot.
So, and the other thing, you know, how they can teach us trust is because they do react and respond to things in the moment. So if we're going in the anxious or stressed or whatever it is, they're going to mirror that straight back to us. So we can trust the reaction to us because we know that that's what we're feeling in that moment. So it's kind of like in your face, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're not faking it. They're not making out that we're something that we're not, because we're actually feeling that anxious feeling, and they're mirroring that back to us in the moment.
Well, we had that in one of the sessions that we did, didn't we? One particular lady was quite anxious about going in there, and straight away the horse that she was working with stood back a little bit. And then when we said, right, just slow your breathing down, we went through the things that we need to do and all the rest of it. And before, you know, in less than minutes, boom, there was a connection and a joining, and then she was able to then start actually doing the things we wanted to do in that session with the horse that was in question.
And there was another lady who kind of said that the horse didn't like her, but then she changed her frame of reference and the way that she was
Yeah,
thinking
when she
going
went
into
in,
it. And
yeah,
it was actually, I've never seen a horse hugging somebody before, but it was literally pulling her in
yeah,
to show
yeah.
affection to her. And even she was absolutely gobsmacked by his reaction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was it, because she's like she said, you know, well, I didn't think it liked me and all the
Yeah,
rest. But they don't know I like her and I don't like her. It's different. The way they do
yeah.
it is different. So
Which,
like we put that language into it.
yeah, exactly. Which is another way that they can build trust in us, because they don't hold grudges. they're not judging us. It's literally whatever you're coming with in that moment is what they'll accept.
Well, the whole thing with the trust there was the fact that we were, yourself and myself, we was at this point, we'd gone through some of the stuff that we were talking about and said, right, okay, do you feel comfortable going in there? Initially one didn't, and she said, no, 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 I'm fine.
Yeah.
Worked outside. Then when she
Yeah.
did step in, her trust first had to be within me. That
Yes.
horse
Yeah.
trusted me. She trusted me. From that point, then it was kind of pushed back to them, and
Yeah.
then it just came together.
Yeah.
And that was lovely because everybody was in a point of, at any point that you feel that you want to step away from this, you can. Everybody could,
Yeah.
but you had to, it's kind of, I always say, hold your nose, jump in, take a breath and go with it. And
Yeah.
that takes trust for somebody who hadn't met us to actually, when I say you will be fine in there, if you wish to go in and take the next step, do it.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want out here, but if you want to see how you get on with the next level. So it took her a lot of trust to do that with me,
Yeah.
for a start,
Yeah.
having done what she'd done with you first, and then to actually do that and get the feedback from the horse was lovely. And she was very emotional and quite moved by it.
Yeah.
And then again, when we came out and did the other bit and carried on with the rest of the session, she was very uplifted. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the thing she said, wasn't it? One of the words that I feel, wow, a bit really lifted and energized with it all. She said, and I really do feel like I've gained something here somehow. She, I can't put it into words, but something has just like lit me up. I feel just energized, and that was great as well. So then throughout the session, she was able to bring things forward. So again, it's the trusting it, trust in so many things, wasn't it? It was trusting us,
Yeah.
trusting you, trusting me, believing in what we were saying, and then allowing the horse to do its bit, and her trusting that horse wasn't going to take a chunk out of her, wasn't going to kick her, wasn't going to tread on her toes.
Yeah.
And then when he started physically responding to her, trusting that it was from a place of safety, not threatening behavior.
Yeah. And I think that's something, you know, as a one-off, we saw massive transformation in some people. Do you know what I mean? It really hit them. It's what I would call in the therapy room a bullseye, where everything kind of just connects up, all the dots are connected, and it's literally it's a bullseye. It's like, this is one of those aha moments that we're never going to forget.
I call those light bulb moments.
Yeah, that's it. So, but it's about how the clients can take that and transfer it into another area of their lives once they leave this session. That's the important thing. And I would like to think that both those ladies that had done that will remember it. So, you know, the one that was scared of the horses, it's kind of like, well, I've done that. So if I can do that, then I can do something else.
Well, it's trusting her own judgment, isn't it? You know, she put her trust in the people around her and then the animal around her. So it's learning to have, I think, trust your own judgment. Don't wait to be told by somebody else what's safe, what's not safe. You know, sometimes you have to look around you and make those judgments yourself. And people have
trust your intuition. Go with your
yes,
gut.
go with your gut. Some
Yeah.
people, I think, life today, we're so conditioned almost that somebody's going to look after you. We're told what to do at every juncture.
And do
To
you
be able
think as well, the older that we get,
to,
we stop trusting our guts? We need logical proof. We ignore the feelings that we have that this is okay and this isn't okay. You know, when we're young, I think we listen to our intuition a lot more. You've got grandkids, I've got a grandson. Do you know what I mean? They just, if it feels okay, they run with it.
yeah.
If it doesn't, then they don't do it. And there comes a point, I think, as, you know, human beings, that we stop to listen to our gut and we need somebody to prove or disprove something rather than just trusting ourselves.
Yeah, maybe. But I also think that the other side of that is that as life teaches us that whatever situation you're in, this is the role that we do, this is what you do, this is how you behave. When there's times when you think, do you know what? Why am I doing that? I don't need to do that. Why am I doing that just because everybody else is?
Yeah. So like habitual behavior, we just
Yeah,
keep doing
yeah.
the same
So
thing.
stop
Yeah.
and go. Actually, no, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I'm grown up. I can say no because we're people pleasers, aren't we? Most people do try and please everybody, and it's
Yeah. And it's a real realization when we do that, when we say, actually, why am I doing this? I don't need to do this anymore. I can make a new decision.
Yeah, because people that you're around that know you, that you're used to making those decisions, so you stick in that role of friendship groups or work groups and things like that. But when you step away from that maybe and think, actually, no, I'm not going on Friday morning to the gym with the same old group,
Yeah.
because it's safe. It's safe, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
we
And we
don't.
like that safe, rather than stepping
Yeah.
out of our comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what we were talking about the other day, you know, in the last session, that sometimes it's good to actually stop and step back and say, this is the new me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll try something different. And we're not good as humans at trying something different. Horses are brilliant at trying different things because they're inquisitive. By nature, they're inquisitive.
Yeah.
And
So again, that's, modeling that to us, that they're going to teach us that actually it's okay to try something, and we might like it, we might not. If we don't, that's fine. We don't need to do it again. And a horse will do that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And ridden horses, certainly, owners will do that. They'll try, maybe they'll go and try walking through a river for the first time, and the first time they'll say, no, next time, yeah, it was okay because we did it once, so let's go and try again. And then we'll try a different thing. We'll go on a, in a woods or whatever. So there's so many different ways that, certainly with ridden horses, that's, but just in nature and naturally, we've talked about this on one of the sessions, sit in a field with your horses if you've got them, or if you have the chance, just go and sit by a fence and see how long it takes for those horses to come over and investigate who is sitting outside that fence. They're naturally inquisitive, and we can learn that from them. Be more inquisitive.
That's something I talk an awful lot with about clients in the therapy room, is about being curious.
Yeah.
Don't be judgmental, don't be critical, just be curious. Just, again, I think that's something that we lose as we're growing up. We think we know it all. We're not curious anymore. We're
being educated to be uneducated almost.
Yeah. It is. It's educated out of us. Do you know what I mean? To ask questions and all those sort of things. So that's really good that they're modeling that to us, and that we can take that. Because to me, it's fine, having a session with us at Equine Guided Therapy, as I know you call it a spa day with hooves, as a one-off, as a group of friends going and doing it. But for me, it's really important that the clients have a takeaway, that they can take something away and use it in their everyday lives that's going to be of use to them. So
that's the reflection, isn't it? That's when you were talking in your part about the reflection.
Yeah.
So after they'd all done the physical horse thing, and we went back into the room and sat and chatted about it, and you discussed reflection with them and how they were going to take it forward and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how we were saying to the ladies concerned, this isn't just a one-off. You can do this in the same way as you would go to the spa, in the same way that you would make a regular coffee morning with your friends on the last Friday of every month. This is something that resets you.
Yeah.
And it will, each time you do it, in theory, you will see something different, because if you are reflecting and taking away what you've done on the first one, when you come back, you will present a different picture.
Absolutely.
You should have a different response.
Yes.
And each of those responses, I always think it should be like the Hiroshima bomb. It should just do that and grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
And building whatever it is that you were lacking, whether it was self-awareness, confidence, trust, and all of those things. So it's
naturally, but naturally our state of mind fluctuates all the time. I'm not sure whether this is something that we've said, because I talk about this an awful lot and I forget who I've actually said it to, but I see it as like an escalator. It's constantly moving, so our state of mind can be quite low, and within a second it can, go up again. And when it's up, it can come down. So every time you're, in that situation where you're with the horse in the stable, it's a completely new environment because your state of mind is different. So for the listeners, I don't want them to think, oh, I've done it once, come to a session, I've done it once, that's it, I'm not going to get anything else out of it. This is like, you could literally come on a weekly basis, and every week, it'd go on a deeper level, like you've said, but also, dependent on your state of mind and what's going on for you, you will get a different response and reaction and learn something every single time.
Well, this is what we were talking about initially as well, with all the different packages that we can put together. But also, it gives you the opportunity to then forage into the If you decide, actually, this is something I'd like to do, there's so many volunteer things available with animals and horses and things like that. You might decide, I know I've got lots of friends of a similar age who suddenly feel themselves in a rut and they take up a new hobby. Now
Yeah.
that hobby could be something right, I'm enjoying this outdoor life. I'm going to start walking. I'm going to start walking and going out for walks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to join a walking group or whatever it is. But it can start with us and it can go down the horse group. We do sessions where people might suddenly go, I want to start learning about horse care. I want to start going riding. I want to start doing that. So all of those things, it can open up to you.
Yeah.
People might say, I want to start some personal therapy.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of two things of our immediacy from us. But like I've just said, it can just start somebody thinking out of their normal box that we really enjoyed this being the outdoors thing. I don't get to do enough of this. I'm going to volunteer at a dog walking place, or I'm just going to start walking. I'm going to go and get a bike. I used to love cycling when I was 15. I'm going to go and get a bike.
Yeah. And it's all about self-care. It's all about filling up your own bucket of whatever it is that you need to do. We live really stressful lives. We don't take time out to just be, and Mother Nature is the best therapist for all of us, me included. I go for a walk at least once a day. If you follow me on TikTok or you see me on TikTok, I'm always, and you're outside because you're up at the stables.
I walk a lot.
That's your job. Well, when I was up there, when we were doing the course, I couldn't believe how many steps I'd done just walking around the flipping stables. And it's not like a massive one. But yeah. So it is about, opening up your eyes to new avenues for self-care.
Yeah. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Trust what it starts to tell you. And trust your own decisions. If it's wrong, you go back and change it.
Exactly.
I always say there's no, it's not blood, it's not etched in stone. If you're not bleeding, change it.
Yeah. And it's about being curious and not critical. Don't judge yourself or anything like that. Just get curious about what it is. What am I feeling? What's coming up for me? Do I like it? Do I not? And then once you're aware of it, you've got the option to change it then. And that's a lot of the work that I do. Awareness is the key.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So until next time, folks.
Yes, until next time, when we will be talking about, she says as she looks down at her list, following on really well from this is the healing power of nature.
There you go. What a way to finish.
That's it. Follow on. Until next time, Julie.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Healing with Horses. Please follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening on and leave us a review.
And if you got value from this episode, please share it so that others get value from it too. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at Equine Guided Therapy.
Or you can visit our website, equineguidedtherapy.com, to book a session with us. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you all soon.